Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Julian here from Spartan. I've got the absolute pleasure to bring in the rock star. I don't even know where you came from because every time I see you, you're in a different country. Holiday here, life engineered over there, speaking in front of 1,000 people over there, which is absolutely incredible, absolutely inspiring for males and females alike. Obviously, if you're looking for a good female role model, this is probably the best person to speak to. Miss Jade Green, welcome.
Thank you, Julian. I'm flattered.
Oh well, mate, you like literally in the last 6 months, I've seen you holidays. I think you've taken 2 holidays there, everywhere. You've surfed in America. You've spoken in front of thousands of people. It's like, man, how do I got to sort my life out a little bit? So, a bit of background.
You just need to engineer your life better.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be talking, offline after this conversation, I think. So, transformational teacher, learning junkie, spiritual being, and adventure with an international reputation as a hard-charging, rule-breaking, love that. That's me too. High-performance entrepreneur and life engineer, and speaker with a 5-dimensional coach. What's a 5-dimensional coach?
Yeah, 5-dimensional coaching is the system that we use for life engineered, and that's about going, and this is going to confuse people because there's 6 parts to being 5-dimensional.
Yep, cool.
So
Love it.
Firstly, most entrepreneurs are 1-dimensional. They focus purely on their business at the detriment of their relationships, whether they be intimate relationships, family relationships, friends, etc. Or they might have the two, so they've got the line going between them. At some stage, they realize they need the wisdom to really go to the next level and to start living a more fulfilling life. Usually at that stage, they realize their health is suffering and your health is your wealth. And so we need to fix that, because you can't be at an optimum capacity in any area of your life if your health is suffering.
Yeah.
Then it's usually like, okay, this is all great, things are going well, but where's my adventure? And we start going, okay, and what you just said, how do we start engineering our lives to make sure that we're still living? Because life isn't just for grinding, right? It is for living too.
Yeah.
And then what I have around all of that is spirituality. And that's where we start thinking about how we can awaken and what's the next step. And, we probably aren't the only little humans out here. Well, maybe only humans, but the only sentient beings in the universe. So that's where we start thinking, okay, how are we connected to source? What higher powers do we call on? Some people that might be religion, other people it's just the universe, other people it's a different level of spirituality. Yeah. But that's where we start looking at the more cosmocentric, what else is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that because, I think that there is definitely, for my business journey, there definitely seems to be a pull literally in the last 12 months into that spirituality side of things. I had a dear friend from that spiritual, not I'm going to say realm, but, the workshop space of that spirituality actually passed away. His funeral's next week. Yeah, it was horrific. Anyway, a different story. I probably shouldn't I don't like language being that bad, but for me, it was a very, very touching space. And he definitely was someone that I found very connected to that spiritual side, and definitely someone that I admired deeply and deeply respected because of that side. Entrepreneurs, business owners are very, very task oriented as a whole. Projects, tasks, to-do lists. Like we forget everything else, and literally, to me, the trifecta is health, relationships, and business at one thing. And from a male's perspective, we definitely forget that. From a female's perspective in business, I definitely think they lose a lot of the femininity of that sort of things, because in business, it's a very masculine energy.
I was totally guilty of that. And the last 2 years for me has been about reconnecting to femininity, because being from the recruitment space as well, I used to wear a 3-piece navy pinstripe suit with the starched white collar shirt and the cufflinks. And it was all about proving that I was as good as the males, and to the point that even after work, I went and played football. And and then I went to the pub with my friends.
Like method acting. Right?
Yeah, it's like embrace. And that really didn't serve me. It certainly didn't serve my adrenals, and led to some burnout and affected my marriage as well. So for me, although I am equal parts tomboy and girly girl, it is about making sure that I'm equally a girly girl.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this wasn't even part of the conversation, part of the brief that I wanted to, but it's super important, you know. I mean, like even from a male in business, you know, females are better managers of people because they're compassionate, they're kind, they're thoughtful, they understand feelings, they're empathetic. So the femininity in business is super important. And from a masculine point of view, if I go in deep into my masculine energy, this literally wasn't part of the conversation, it was meant to be, but I love it. If I go deep into my masculine energy, that's actually bad for business. It's good for me because I feel like shit's going to be happening. We're moving forward. We're driven, decisive, making decisions. Let's go. But people around me, it's a very, very bad energy. So, you know, tapping into that femininity is actually not a sign of weakness. It's actually the strength from the feminine energy is actually super, super strong. Most people think it's like girly. It's got nothing to do with gender.
And it's also about understanding in what part of your business you need to show up in which type of energy, and both, no matter whether you're actually male or female, it's where do you tap into that side of you for the task that you're doing at that time. And that can be one of the things that I work with through Roger James Hamilton's teachings and entrepreneur resorts is understanding how you can create a week of flow and how you can be in a certain type of energy, because you don't want to be bipolar and switching. Okay, sales call, man, management. Like,
tell me how you feel. Right? All right, close that deal, right? Bipolar entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, we all are. But creating that flow in your week so that you can sink into that energy and really maximize it, and then be in the other energy when you need to as well. So I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about, is creating the flow state of their week to ensure that they can show up in the best space. And that is what has the impact on the staff, because it's all fine and dandy in your entrepreneur mind, but it's your energy is having such a massive impact on the people around you. And I think from what we talked about before, can be what causes your staff to abandon ship.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, before we move into the actual conversation that we asked you to speak about, there was a dramatic shift even in my own personal business where I, for the first time in literally 20 years of 70 hours a week of work, I actually felt burnt out. And I got to the stage where I was literally 12 o'clock, you know, this time again, looking at my desk, and my 3 screens that I had up were going blurry. 12 midday. I only been working for like 5 hours, right? I was like, this is
only 5 hours by then.
I know, I know, a bit slack. So I'm not the person that gets up at 4:30 in the morning, you know, with 3 kids under the age of 4. I'm up at 4:30, but I'm not doing what you think I'm doing. It's milkies and little things like that. So, so, you know, getting into that space of knowing where you're at, I don't need a 2-week holiday to Bali or Thailand, but I just literally had to just shut down for 2 days and go, right, I need a solid weekend and get back to me. Literally, we nearly doubled the amount of sales that next week. And all I did was just go to rest over the weekend.
Yeah.
That's how important energy is in your business.
You need to think about like your phone.
Yeah.
When work in optimal performance, you're the same as that. So it needs to go on charge, and you need to think about what recharges you. And a lot of people, especially when they start their businesses, they get so wound up and they might get energy from running the business that they forget what really gives them energy. And it's super important to sit down and do an exercise and go, okay, what actually lights me up? What actually recharges me? Is it being around other people and being social, or is it reclusing and having some time on my own? Is it, for me, it's going in the ocean and going for a surf.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I'm at full anxiety levels, not being able to focus, my creativity's dropped.
Yeah.
I just need, the best thing for me to do is drop everything and go surfing.
Yeah.
So I had to do that the other morning. I was coaching an international entrepreneur and speaker on his LinkedIn profile, and he's in America. So I have to coach him at 6 a.m., which is 6 p.m. So I have to get up, get prepared, be ready to do that, do the call, do the next thing for me, send all of the follow-up stuff. And then I had to be in an event in Brisbane at 1 o'clock. And that was going to go through till 9 p.m. And I knew that I just wasn't going to show up as the best me if I didn't take the time to go for a surf. So I had to stop everything else, go for a surf, get ready. And I was on fire that afternoon. Like I was like definitely in my element, energized, ready to rock and roll. And I just wouldn't have been able to show up like that if I hadn't taken that minute.
And I think it's really important that, you know, what you said there, it's not going to surf for the whole day or like 7 hours. It's literally, you probably were in there for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, caught 4 waves. And that is kind of enough, maybe a little bit longer, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not as if you need to spend hours on these things. But then when you're in there, I guarantee you weren't thinking about your event. I guarantee you weren't thinking about what you kind of missed on that call. I guarantee you weren't thinking about the next caller from there. Like, you were in that, right? And that's where, that's where I think most business owners go missing, right? Yeah. So when they're in the surf, they're thinking about, you know, when you're on holiday, let's say, the best thing not to do on a holiday, or you know, don't take phones, don't take laptops. No one cares about the color of your food or your like, do it for you. Don't do it for fucking social media. Like, there's no point doing that stuff. So we get very confused in what's actually important. Like you said, I say this all the time, like, these phones are the best things ever. They're also the biggest distractions, and they keep your brain so busy, there is no time to think. Yeah,
that's right. You know, and there's a bunch of science around digital dementia. We're so reliant on them now that we actually forget basic things. Like, it's like navigation. You don't know how to drive to somewhere you go all of the time on your own because you've never had to actually remember it, because you just press the button and off you go. Yeah. The same thing with those. Like, they make us smart, but they also make us dumb.
Well, I think they're smart. This thing here is smartphones for dumb people, right? They're making us. That's true. Like, it's so true. Like, I don't even know my wife now. Been together for 7 years. I don't actually know her phone number.
Don't know her number? Yeah, I know her
number. Whereas years ago, you would move house and you still remember your own home phone number and your best friend's phone number. Now, you know, but then in saying that, in our defense, if we're going to have some, there's, you know, 4 bank accounts, there's 3 credit cards, there's the PIN numbers for every credit card. There's, I mean, if you look at how many passwords and logins you have in your computer, it's actually ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why I have to have LastPass.
Yeah, exactly.
LastPass is my friend.
If you didn't have that, you couldn't remember anything unless you had the same password for everything, which is not ideal.
A little bit dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. So, and make sure it's not your dog with your birthday, right? So, so let's get into exactly what we were, you know, designed to speak about, which was today. Sure. Companies, candidates, recruitment, that's your skill set. That's what we've done for Expand for the last 7 years. You know, we were speaking obviously just before on how many people actually come through our businesses, how many resumes we've looked at. What are companies, like these days, the recruitment is actually more complicated in the sense of different platforms to get on. Candidates are looking for different things. Companies, for the most part, the clients that I deal with don't actually know the people that they're looking for, which makes it a bit of a problem. So first of all, what are candidates looking for out of a new company?
Well, that is a really open question because it depends on the candidate, right? Yep. And so what I would say is, before you can answer that question, you need to really know who is the avatar candidate. Yep. Specifically, what values do they have, what character traits, and what job do they actually want to do, and then you can work back. So it's the same way as what you would do with, say, doing a Facebook ad or something like that, right? You do your avatar. What problem do they have? What do they want? What's going to fulfill them? And once you know that, then you can work backwards. So the problem is companies think that they could just be all things to all people. Yeah. And that's going to be the blanket effect. No. So most candidates, though, are looking to fulfill the 6 human needs, right? They're looking for growth, contribution, connection. If you can just nail those 3, you're going to be well on your way. Most people think they want money. People want growth and contribution and relationships over money. Yeah. What else do they want? Recognition. Yeah. And recognition is different to different people, right? So I always tell people to go back to the love languages. You've got to work out your person first. It's all about the individual, but you need to show them love and recognition in the way that they feel it and hear it. Yeah. If you can nail that, you're going to be a really good place to work. Yeah. Okay. But you've got to tailor it.
Yeah. So that's obviously when they get into the company.
Mm-hmm.
How would you formulate? Because this is what I see a lot when a small business, medium-sized business, they're looking for a new staff member.
Yeah.
They honestly are looking for unicorns. And I said this on previous conversation before. They're looking for the unicorn. And what the unicorn is someone that can do SEO because they don't know how to do it. Someone that can do all your Facebook ads, maybe even some B2B stuff. LinkedIn would be great as well if you can manage that. If you can do some copy and some video production, as well as some administration and some data entry.
Oh, you forgot they want them also to do cold calling and business development.
That's right. If you could do that, that'd be great. That'd be really helpful. And also what I find is that what the business owner is trying to get the employee to do is all the shit jobs that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I hate doing sales, so can you just do sales for me so I don't have to look at it? That is not inspiring anyone, guys. Like, no one.
No. I think the other thing, so basically what a good candidate usually goes searching for is they want to connect to the why. It start with why, and be willing to polarize, because the people that aren't bought into your why are not going to work out in the long term anyway. Yes, it's going to narrow your candidate pool. It's going to really bring it down. But the problem isn't getting applicants, because often you'll get, if your ad's too broad, you get all sorts of shit. Yeah. And they don't even come from here. And you want Seek to electrocute them just for pressing the send button because they have zero relevance. Yeah. So it's not about getting the volume. We don't want the quantity, we want the quality. Yeah. So the key thing that the entrepreneurs need to do and the leader of the business needs to communicate their why. What is the why? Go back to Simon. Start with why. Exactly. Get that really clear. What's the why of the business, but what's your personal why? Because if you want to get someone, especially if they're already good people already have good jobs, right? That's right. Good people already have a job, and that is what people need to realize. They're not sitting on Seek. Yeah. They're not sitting on their couch waiting for something to come along. They are in a good job, and you need to convince them why your job is better for them. Yeah. And that's not going to be about the money.
And that's the best people do not send their resume to 40 companies. You know when you call them and they're like, oh, so what's this again?
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're, let's say, in cold calling or you're in sales or something, you might be able to get away with it if you kind of mass recruit and you can put 4 of the same people on data, whatever it happens to be. You know, we can do that for one of our companies. We can have that type of person because we've got coaching methods and all that stuff. But if you're looking for a specific candidate, that's a good way to hang up. Oh, so who's this again? So what's this job about? But don't.
Yeah. You know. Think about it though. If you're good at your job and you're good at what you do, you're usually getting headhunted all the time anyway.
Yeah.
How often are you actually on Seek or on a job board trawling through to place apply? Yeah. The ones that apply is when it comes to them through another medium, when we can talk about how to attract the talent. Yeah. But it might be because they've seen an article on LinkedIn, someone's actually shared it to them, it's come up in another way, and it may have come up just at the right moment.
Yeah.
The only time you get really good candidates on job boards seeking is when they're leaving a manager who's done something dick for the final straw. But catching them at that specific moment is very, very hard. Yeah. So it's about how do you get your message in front of the right people all of the time so that when they're ready to make that switch, you're top of mind.
Yeah.
And that's about being a thought leader. It's about being known in your marketplace. It's being known in those industry sectors and planning ahead, because your profile may not be always hanging out where the .NET developers are, but you can start thinking in advance, what groups do you need to be in? Where do they hang out? Where do you need to start showing up before you're desperate for them?
Yeah. Yeah. And let's say if you place an ad on Seek, like you said before, think they're your customers. You know what I mean? If anything, they're sometimes more important. Not really. They're sometimes more important than your customer, and I explain why. Your customers.
They are definitely more important than your customer.
Well,
because without good stuff, you don't have any.
Exactly. Well, that's true too, yeah. And they can get rid of a few customers too, right? So they are.
One bad customer service person could lose you lots of people.
Correct. Yeah. And not only they've lost you people, you've actually cost you money as well. So let's say $40,000 a year, but you've lost 100 extra. So, so yeah, I don't think people actually put enough effort into the thought of the person you're looking for, where they hang out, what they're looking for, what they, you know, it's like a customer, what their concerns are, what their fears are, what their doubts are about the company, what's the company look like, is this product going to serve me? Is this like, they're all the things that good candidates are looking for.
Yeah.
Right? So what would be sort of the top down approach? Obviously you've got your why, you know what you're doing, you kind of know what you're looking for. What would be the next stage in finding the best candidate for your business?
You need to understand what your genius zone is as a manager. So what we do with the wealth dynamics and Roger James Hamilton stuff is you identify what your genius is, and then there's a scientific formula around what's the next genius level you need. So if you're here, you need 2 across and then 3 across, and that fills out your gaps. So too many times entrepreneurs, you know, and most people, they default to hiring people like them because we like people like us.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, they get me.
Yeah.
It's usually the exact opposite of what you need, because you don't need more of you.
Yeah.
You need the people. So if you're
someone said that to me, they're like, oh, if only they had 5 more you. I'm like, I don't want 5 more, man. I'm too fucking busy.
I'm like, and so anyway. So I talk about it with, say, entrepreneurs. They might be a high dynamo creator energy, and so they're really great at the ideas and getting the ball rolling, but they're really, really shit at doing the technical and the fiddly details and the numbers.
Attention to
So if you've got 5 more of those people, and you've hired someone like that to look after your numbers or your operations or your systems, you can't blame that person for not doing a good job. It's not their genius zone. It's not where they get energy. It's not their skill set. So you need to think, you need to know exactly where you sit and where your gaps are. So you're going to be surprised by what my profile's called. My profile's star profile.
Okay.
I'm like all blazy and all energy, and I connect people.
I don't believe that. Who made that?
No, I know. Someone's making that shit up.
Yeah.
I'm a high creator, so I create stuff, and I like to get out there but detail, not my thing. I was a national operations manager for 3.5 years, and it near killed me because it sucked all of my energy. Yes, I could force myself to do it, but I literally was throwing up blood.
Yeah.
Because circular referencing spreadsheets and forecasting at 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Yeah. That sounds horrendous to me.
It was horrific. And it meant that even though that company offered me equity, I said no and left.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. And that genius zone, I love that. It's just, you know, you got to find what your genius zone actually is.
Yeah.
To do that, you got to think about, you know, and it's, you know, right now there's this big push towards, you know, if you don't love it, don't do it. You're going to be very broke for a very long time.
Yes.
You mean, like, I love motor racing, as you can see by the suit, the helmet, like, that's what I love to do. That's going to cost me millions of dollars a year, because I don't just want to race Hyundai Excel, like, you know what I mean, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and...
What is your car of choice if you're racing?
It has to be Ferrari, not or an Audi R8 LMS. I've actually got, I'll show you. It's actually like, that's my goal, so.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's over there,
I will rebuy a Lotus and turn it into a hill climb car.
Yeah,
so mine got retired to a hill climb car. A guy down in Adelaide actually bought it.
Did he? There you go. Yeah. They're good little go-karts, those ones.
Yeah, heaps of fun.
So yeah, the little LMS, ready to go. 140,000, 150,000 US. So
beautiful.
Yeah, be good. So heaps of extras. It says GT food. So
all the stuff you're going to strip out to race it.
Yeah, well, I don't need to. It's ready to go. So
it's good.
I don't know if I can put that on the road, but my wife will absolutely hate it if there's a second seat in there. So, but yeah, it's not for her. But you know, those is what I would love to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do that, there's probably some things that I'm gonna seriously dislike doing for a decent amount of time, but that's why that is up behind my computer screen.
Yeah.
So, I think there was even a post I put, you might have seen it on Instagram, where I actually dressed up in that at my desk because
I loved it. Well, that's how I bought the Lotus. I used to have that a picture of it sitting next to my phone because I had to make 100 cold calls a day.
Yeah.
And as a recruiter, get told to fuck off 99 times.
Yeah.
You're like, just one more call. Just the numbers will work. Lotus.
Where's my car? Where's my car?
Lotus.
You can tell me whatever you want. I'm getting a Lotus.
Lotus. Yep. And whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, dear. Customer's always right.
Yeah. Wait, everyone else call this guy. Just tell me to fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what happens? I get called the same call like just goes in rotation. It's like, damn it.
Like, this guy was an extra dick. Everyone call him.
You guys are already coming. No, sorry, we haven't. Anyway.
We're off track, but I want to go back to your point. Yes, you still have to do stuff that you don't love to get ahead, right?
Yeah.
But I like to remind people of the Gallup principles, the Skill Finder 2.0. Don't work on your weaknesses, play to your strengths, and hire people for their strengths.
Yeah.
If your strength isn't numbers, hire the numbers guy. Don't hire the salesperson just because you don't want to do the sales. Because if your strength is actually the sales, then spend more time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really, really believe in the talent dynamics spectrum and the genius test, and really understanding that, and then who you need to fill up your team to make your ideal team. And doing things that are, before you go to hire, doing a task audit of yourself, categorizing that into what gives you energy, what takes away your energy, what you give a fuck about, and what you don't need to give a fuck about. Because once you've understood that levels, and probably for most people, before they do all that, read the book Ego is the Enemy, and realize that you don't need to do everything yourself. And other people can do it, as long as it's getting done 70% as good as what you do it, or what you think you do it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, also,
then it's going to make you be better in every other area.
Or part of recruitment, if you're recruiting, like, I would never hire someone that I can do the task better than them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if my operations manager is also an amazing graphic designer, if I can do keynote presentations for my topics, my speeches, my courses, whatever, better than her, I don't need her.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I think. If I've got a recruiter and I can do recruitment calls, job calls, interviews better than my recruitment team, I don't need that recruitment team. Now, I do need that recruitment team, otherwise I'm doing everything, but I wouldn't want to recruit someone that can't add massive value to my business already.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll teach them the way we do things, but really they should take that and grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Outside of sales, I haven't met that many salespeople that can outsell me, but anyway, different story.
I would say there is some tasks that can be done 70% as good as what you do it, because they're the ones in that list of the don't give a fuck, like the menial sort of stuff. Like you might make the best coffee in the world because you used to be a barista. Someone else can make it for you, and it's going to be okay.
Okay. Yeah,
And you can train them up. But the key thing is, too many entrepreneurs want to be doing all things. And the only way to succeed and scale is to have all people doing one thing. Rather than doing one person doing all things, all people doing one thing. And they do that one thing really, really well.
Yeah.
So your one thing might be the strategy and the vision. I bet you do.
But probably in regards to my timeline of my day, not that important.
Yeah, you'd settle for the 70% as good coffee when you're super busy. So I think that's one thing to really get people to think about is all people doing one thing, and what's their one thing? What's their area? So what's their flow state? And that doesn't mean like it's only one task, but your finance people, they do finance. They don't do finance and Facebook ads and this and that. And yes, in startup mode, some people might need to multitask, but you group the style of tasks together. So if it's stuff about timing and deal making and things like that, you have them doing that. If it's relationship, sales, human connections, you get them doing that. If it's operations, numbers, details, you get them doing that. If it's strategy, creative, marketing, you get them doing that. So you could get away with 4 people, but don't get steel person, operations dude, try to make your sales calls.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Or your creative Facebook ads, marketing to do your numbers, like, you know, videography and your editing and your Facebook ads. And then the next time he's doing your books, like you're going to have a bit of an issue there. Yeah.
It's crazy. And that's why we have outsourcers, right? So you can break those little tasks down and give it to someone that is their genius zone and just use them as an outsourcer or a contractor. And it's going to be a far better use of your money and your time than trying to pay someone to do too many different things. It's going to be all diluted.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our own tasks, what we give a fuck about, what we don't give a fuck about, what we're good at, what we're not good at. And delegation is super important, you know. And again, I think a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs are trying to do everything themselves because they do it better. Fantastic. You'll only ever be in startup mode for the rest of your career. So you'll
always be a player. So the idea of the player is, if you don't show up, nothing gets done, company falls down, you actually can't go on a holiday because everything falls in a heap. And a lot of people, ego-wise, have created a rod for their own back because they want to be the special person. They need to learn to make the special team. So that then they can step up and start guiding things a little bit more. And then you can take the time to relax because you can trust the team's going to hold the fort.
If you have to do everything, you don't have a business.
Correct. You have a job. You've created your own job.
And it would be a very stressful, expensive job. So you should have been working for someone else because you potentially get paid more. There'll be less stress, and you won't give yourself any heart attacks or grey hairs. Right? So we've got the right person, and we've got all our tasks lined out. Onboarding process. What would be a perfect onboarding process for you?
So I talk about making sure so people have a customer journey plan, right? So I say you should have an employee success plan and mapping out what is the experience you want someone to have with your business and you from the very first minute they come in contact with you. So whether that's seeing a social media post to seed for eventually down the track when you want to go and headhunt them, to how everything goes from, okay, they've been given an interview. What do you send them before the interview? What do they need to know? You don't want to waste time telling them menial shit in the interview. So what can you give them up front? How can you set them up for success so that they're less stressed? Because especially different profile types, someone who's numbers based or an introvert gets really stressed about an interview and performs poorly, not through any fault of their own. So how can you set them up for success? How do you actually do the interview? How do you communicate? What character traits do you want to display? How do you show up? What's the after interview follow up? How do they progress through the stages? What would be the optimum time frame from interview to offer? How do you deliver the offer? Too many entrepreneurs are still like, I'm the boss and they should be thankful that I'm going to pay them money. No.
Good way to spend a lot of money in recruitment.
Yeah, great way. So how are you going to deliver the offer? What's their pre-onboarding pack? Like, how do you make them feel excited from the minute that they have taken it to make sure that they know? You don't want them to have that second thought like, oh, my current boss is going to offer me more money and maybe I should take that. You want them to have no fucking doubt in their mind that they are so excited to come on board and they just can't wait for the first day. So what can you give them? That could be a gift in terms of, I always suggest a book if they've told you during the interview process about something that they're really interested in, that you might. So I had a client who hired a junior lawyer who really wanted to learn more about entrepreneurship and law and was a crazy basketball fan. So I said, get him Dory's new book, Dory Gadahi's new book. And it wraps up everything. And the guy was stoked. So tiny little thing shows you actually listen to what they care about. So that type of process. Okay, great. Then your actual onboarding. Don't have them turn up on the first day and they don't have a computer, they don't have a desk, they don't have all the tools that they need. Get your shit together first. Because the cost of having to rehire is so high. Can you really afford not to have them set up?
Exactly,
It's your first impression. And the stats are absolutely crazy on how many people look to leave their job within the first 90 days.
Yeah.
It's like dating, right? You go on your first date, That's the first day. You go on your second date, that's your second week. You go on your third date, and then you're deciding, is this actually going to be a relationship, or am I back on Tinder looking for something else?
Yeah. I'm married, so there's new ones out. I don't even know. There's people are telling me like, oh, I've got this and Bumble or something.
No idea. Yeah.
No idea.
She's actually a really great entrepreneur to have a listen of her, some podcasts with her. That's really smart.
Okay.
And how they onboard and how they recruit is actually, she's really good.
I'm not sure if my wife's going to understand the market research that I need to. I don't know.
Well, they actually do Bumble for networking now too.
Okay.
Crazy. So yeah, thinking about what's their first 90 days and setting them up for success. Make sure that they feel like they're part of the team. They're not like too many people that they turn up and they feel like they're a burden on their first day because I don't have time. I'm so rushed and I haven't. That's kind of your desk. You're gonna make it yourself. Like, how valued do you feel?
It'd be like the customer coming into a pizza shop and having to make their own pizza.
Box their own pizza. Yeah.
And where's the boxes? Oh, I'll wrap it. Don't worry. I don't want to put you guys out. Like.
Yeah. You just figure out what to put on the pizza and how long to cook it because I don't have time. Yeah.
Where's the cheese? I think it's in the back fridge and just
just wipe the mold off it. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So thinking about how do you want them to feel, and this is the key thing, right? It's all the same with customer service. What feeling do you want them to go home with on their very first day? And when their friends ask them if they had a good first day or how did they make the right decision, there is zero doubts in their mind that this is where they should be.
Yeah.
And your training needs to be the same. So you can co-create the training, but you need to know the framework. Because if you've hired someone for their genius, tell them, I've created this so far for the training, but it's your genius and I want to empower you to create it with me. But if you just tell them to figure it out themselves, it's a different mindset.
Yeah.
And I always say automate things. So the first time you train someone, record everything.
Yeah.
So when I did my vision, mission, values with my staff, I would record that so that I didn't have to go through the whole thing with them, but then I'd still do a session with them face to face in terms of, now you give me your interpretation of these words and what do they mean to you and how would you apply them? So don't just sit them in front of a computer, that's lazy, but there is definitely things that you should automate and record to streamline, but make sure that you're touching in and having the human experience because again, we're there for the connection. And if they don't have that human experience, it's really easy to say no to a computer screen that trains you and leave.
Yeah. I'm just putting myself into a business owner's shoes right now. And what I can hear kind of come through from people watching the video later on is like, yeah, but I'm just not that good in front of the video. I'm not that good in front of the screen. So
So don't record yourself doing it. Record you training someone.
Yeah.
So the first time you train someone, just set it up to record. So if you don't feel comfortable sitting there going through the whole process and teaching a screen, don't. Just record the session that you do live so that you don't have to do the exact same thing again. It's, they say anything you have to do more than once, you need a system and a process for. That's the principle. Yeah.
So all the people that just had that bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
Sucked in.
It's like no. Even things like
I killed that. I preempted that one. Like, see you later. Yeah.
But think about it. If you're showing them how to use your database, get Loom, turn Loom on, and record yourself on the screen, saying, okay, and here's where the customers are, and this is how you add a lead, and this is where you record a call, and this is how you turn it into a prospect. And you've recorded all of that while you're teaching someone. You don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to have your own face. You can have just a little picture of you at the very bottom.
Yeah.
But it's better to have the human connection.
Absolutely. And especially, we're literally moving into that space now and there's no really any excuse not to buy, a $500 camera. Like there's no really any excuses of not to have this technology in your business.
On a tripod.
There you go.
We did our LinkedIn Live here with Gus Wallen yesterday. And I just sat my phone over on the edge of the boardroom table on this dodgy little dollar tripod I got.
From Alibaba.
And that's it. Yeah. And it worked perfectly. Don't need anything else.
Yeah.
And you can mic yourself up. So if I'm actually training, I've got my Beats headset on. Yeah. That's it. It's mobile. It's wireless. It's perfect.
Yeah, easy. So there's
Yeah.
really no excuses.
Zero
Especially
excuses.
when moving
And
into
Loom is free. But for recording your screen, Loom is free.
Yeah.
Like there's no challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's just excuses. So there you go.
Yeah. There is no problems. There's only excuses.
Yeah, exactly. And really the biggest thing, if you want to set, and this is really important for people that want to set themselves apart. If you want to set yourselves apart, you have to do something different, which, you know, I'm just kind of thinking of the time. Oh, we don't have any time. Okay, cool. So if you don't have any time, quote unquote, that's bullshit. If you don't have any time, think of the cost of not getting this process right?
Yes.
And then also how many times have you recruited for the same job in your business over the last 1, 2, 3 years? If it's more than 3 times, which potentially it would be, or twice, that cost, downtime, new training, offboarding, onboarding, paying out soup, like that cost.
Brain cells.
Yeah, exactly. Stress, especially when you start someone new. That first 2 weeks is really difficult. The first month they get into the dynamics of the company. You got to train them how the processes work, new CRMs, This is our customer base. This is how to use everything. This is where to go. That downtime, and that gap in coaching is way more expensive than spending one full day. Put this away because that won't help. Put it in the box somewhere, put it in your drawer, and just get down to that timeline, that customer journey, that the employee journey, working out what the genius is. That one day, and it has to be a solid day, right?
It does.
Maybe even if you shut down your whole business, if there's, let's say, 4 or 5 staff, and work out where does this company want to go? Where is our business going to go? Who do we need in our business? And who do we need to be to capture that person?
That's the most important bit.
Yeah.
Who do we need to be? Who do I need to show up as to get the team that my business deserves and that's actually going to see me achieve?
Yeah.
Because if you keep turning up in whirlwind stress mess, you're not going to keep your people and you're not going to attract them.
Exactly. And if the ones that you do attract are probably not the ones you'd like to keep for longer period of time, and it's definitely not going to get your business next level, right?
Or it's the ones that no one else would take.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only job they can get. I don't want the person, this is the only job they can get. I'm the person that we're the best one out of everyone they went to, and they come back to us. That's
they choose
the
you.
rest, but you'll come back to the best, right? So why would people, we kind of touched on it just then, but why do people leave businesses? Because in my experiences, they don't leave the industry, they leave the business, they don't leave the company, or they don't leave the task that they're doing. They leave the leader or their business. They don't leave that industry. Right? They leave the company. So apart from that, what would be some major things that you've seen? And I'll go through the things that I've seen.
Yeah. So not actually being on the boat with them. So they haven't really bought into your why, because maybe you don't have a why. But if you get them on board with the why and they're on board with the vision, they're going to stay with you through the tough times, right? So you've got to make sure you hire in alignment and that you're showing up in that as well. Like you said, people don't usually leave companies, they leave managers. And there's different things. People do leave industries and people do leave companies once they've outgrown, but they're not leaving. They're just moving on to the next stage, and they become your best ambassadors. Yeah. So there's a natural progression, but they're not leaving you. They usually stay your friend. They stay in contact. They become a contractor. They maybe have their own business. They serve you back. That's a whole different story. Yeah. So it is usually, well, nearly always about not being on board with company, they're not showing up. So they're either inauthentic, their behavior doesn't match the talk, or they're just straight out crazy and they don't show value.
Yeah. In my experience, what I see is that there's a disconnect from what the company owner is looking for, expectations, as opposed to what they're delivering. Yeah. So there's a disconnect in like, oh, look, it's lots of fun. And then you get there and it's a bloody mess.
It's a whole lot of stress.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, look, it's a pretty relaxed environment. And you get there and everyone's like, or it's super, sometimes that you might think is bad. Like, oh, it's really fun, exciting, and it's stressful. What I actually see is that they're promising that it's professional, and there's a bunch of clowns in the back that are being dickheads, right? Yep. Professional people will not stay with dickheads. That's why they're professionals.
Yep,
Right?
that's right.
Dickheads potentially could become professional, and I mean that respectfully.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, exactly. But the
Yeah.
reason for that is because they no longer they can't conform to being an idiot and a cowboy. Then means they're going to step up, which is fine. And sometimes people want to.
But they need to make that choice as a human. That's
exactly
the character that they want to become.
Yeah. So I mean, I hear of people recruiting on values rather than skill set, which I definitely agree. And especially if you're going to have a long-term vision for your business, for the people within your business, and really the cost effectiveness of recruitment, your recruitment strategies, definitely recruiting on values over skill, but I still need a little bit of skill in there.
So the only thing I say about that, 100%, I'm always attitude over aptitude. And it's about hiring for value alignment and vision alignment rather than skill. However, hire in genius zone.
Yeah.
Don't hire the steel-based operational person for the blaze-based sales role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as they're still in what their genius is, that's fine, because they gain their energy from that type of skill level, from that type of role, and they can grow from there, and they'll have the natural ability to pick it up because it's interesting to them. It's what they love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, so just general, more generalist in terms of the skill base, but you don't need them to know, exactly how to program a certain type of software if they've got the skills and knowledge to do it, and 100% vision wise, they're on board, they've got the motivation, they're going to drive, because we know that hard work beats talent all of the time.
Exactly.
And the people that are going to work hard are the people that are on board. So you can have someone that's friggin' amazing, but if they're slacking off all of the time, then they're doing the job 10% of what someone else that would have been doing it anyway.
My least favorite person in any company that I have is someone that has high talent and low work ethics.
Yep.
They piss me right off, because it's like, you could be so much better, but you're just lazy.
The thing that kills me is people that don't use their potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just what a punch to the face.
Yeah, it's like, really?
A little bit strong,
but then when they're there and they're on, you're like, holy shit, this thing's amazing. But the difference is the frustration that you're going to feel.
And the other thing, though, that happens with that is sometimes we have to look at ourselves and realize, why are they demotivated too? Maybe we put them in the wrong job. Maybe we hired the wrong person for that job. And so for them, every minute is a struggle for them to do that job, and they're not motivated and they can't make themselves. They might have potential in one thing, but you're asking them to do 10 things that isn't their potential. So we need to take accountability. So I'm right into extreme ownership and accountability and looking at what could we have done, or what did we do wrong to cause that issue. Yeah. Because ultimately we hired them.
Yeah, exactly. And look, if you've hired wrong, which I think the first 3 years of my personal business, my first company that I opened up, I think I had about 3 years, I think 5 or 6 admins. There was 2 things going on there. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I was recruiting the wrong people.
Yeah.
That recruitment for us as a company was actually pretty rubbish, what I mean? Now, 7 years later, it's so much better. So I definitely think you should work on your strengths. So from a female's perspective, I don't really want to go into the gender side of things, but from a female's perspective, there's a lot of limitations, quote unquote, self-interpreted limitations in the business world, male-dominated industries. You would name Startup Daily top 50 under 40, which is incredible. Stevie Awards and all these accolades that you've actually acquired. What makes you different than other people out there?
Well, I'll go back to the interview that I did on the ABC News on the back of the CVs, because they asked me to come and speak on gender pay gap, inequality and things like that. And they said, can you come talk? I said, I don't know if I'm the right person to come talk, because I've never experienced gender pay gap inequality. Like at some of the companies I was on,
the guys, right?
I was on 40 grand more base than the other general manager. And they're like, how's that possible? I said, well, because I didn't see a difference between male and female. And I never did growing up. Like at high school, I got in trouble a lot because I wore a boys' school uniform, because I played basketball and the girls' school uniform wasn't conducive to playing sport. I surfed, so I'd rip the girls' shirt all the time, and I had no boobs at that stage. was a late developer and you could talk through the armholes. And so I just wouldn't wear it. I wore the boys' one. And they're like, you have to wear the girls' school uniform. I said, no, in the rules it says I have to wear a school uniform. I am wearing a school uniform. So they didn't let me be school captain. I had to be vice captain. But then I got the whole uniform changed for the whole school so that everyone could wear a polo shirt and pick the fabric. If the boys wanted to wear a checkered skirt, then they could do that.
Yeah, they do it in Scotland, so what's the difference,
yeah,
right?
That's right. So I think my mentality, and maybe because I grew up from 9 years old with my dad, with a single dad, and I was surfed, but I just didn't, I was like, girl thing doesn't apply to me. Like, I wanted to play American football. They didn't have American football. They wouldn't let girls play American football in Australia. Fine, I'll make a league. So I don't go, okay, no, that's not a thing. So I think that it's about, and this is what I love the Mindvalley stuff for, it's getting rid of the bullshit rules of society and going, okay, you can only do that because you're a girl. You can, and I think if we reprogram our kids from a young age, girls and boys should play sport together.
Yeah.
And people go, oh no, because the boys are stronger. Not all boys are stronger.
No.
It should be about a weight and and strength level.
That's right. Well, I mean,
and
I've
they
even
play
seen
together.
Rugby league in the same age group, and literally there's gaps like
so different, right?
Massive, and it's the same age, like 9-year-old, and one's this big Tongan boy that's 9 years old that looks about 14. So that I think you're right. You know, there's definitely generalizing. Yes, there's differences, right? And you know,
of course.
But overall, I think that people are going to think, oh yeah, but you surfed and grew up with dad. It's a mindset.
It's a mindset.
I think there's a problem. You know, BMX riding as a kid, you do a jump every single time. All of a sudden you get mid-jump and you think, I'm not going to make it. And somehow there's a wall in the middle of the air and you don't make it. It's not the jump. It's not the bike. It's the mind, right?
That's me surfing on a reef. Oh, the reef's a bit low. Oh, next minute, coral in my ass. Yeah.
Exactly. Now I need to go
what you think you attract, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And what you believe you achieve. So if you don't believe that there's those limitations, then you will find the ways.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
sometimes you come up against things, but I really do think for myself, it has been about going, there is no, okay. So when I first started in recruitment, the owners told me I had 10 interviews. They said no to me 10 times. And one of their reasons was because I was a girl. I was like, what now? And they said, well, we once hired a girl and she ended up running off with one of our clients. Yeah. And so if one of your boys was better looking, they could run off with a female client.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an argument.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So I literally told them that they had 5 minutes to have a contract ready for me, or I was going to work for the competitor and I was going to steal all their clients. And I said, and I will be your general manager within 2 years.
Yeah.
1 year, 11 months, I was their general manager.
There you go.
Yeah, I went in there with a bit of chip on my shoulder and something to prove. But it was like, girl is not defense. Are you retarded? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think these days with that whole, I just don't understand how there's a difference. There's no differences in most jobs. Obviously, if you're like, I just find it a ridiculous argument to think that there are significant differences. Someone said to me, there's a difference between boys and girls. No, there's not. Well, there is big differences. We can't have babies. Yes. I can't breastfeed my 2-week-old daughter. That's an impossibility. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay-at-home mums, stay-at-home dads. Who gives a fuck? Like, who cares? Generally speaking, women are more nurturing than guys. My wife is definitely more nurturing than me.
Yeah.
Way more. But then there's some guys that are way more nurturing than the girls. Who cares? Like, some women are more in the masculine energy, and there's different tasks. Definitely for myself, if I'm writing copy or if I'm writing a blog, I'm not in masculine energy. I'm in a little bit female creative energy, which is not an energy that I step into very often, but I need to have that. If I'm talking to someone that has a personal issue or some significant problems going on at home, I'm not in masculine energy of driving that thing forward and kind of circulating back to what we started with. You've got to understand how those energies are played out within the business role, within your roles within your business, and your role within your life. If I'm talking to my 3 daughters at home, there's certain areas where I need to be the father figure. There's also certain areas where I probably need to pick them up and give them a cuddle. Like it's not gender based, it's energy based. That's where people go wrong.
And and that's the key thing. Understanding what needs a feminine energy and what needs a masculine energy, and when to switch between the two. And yes, males and females are fundamentally different. But again, it goes back to the genius zones, hiring the right person for the right roles.
Yeah.
And
not gender-based.
That's not gender based. And knowing when you need to flick in and out of each.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think it's a lot of like stereotypes, you know what I mean? Like, oh, men are better with numbers and logic, and yet most bookkeepers are females. Men aren't. I'm not very good with numbers. I don't care for numbers. Luckily, my bookkeeper and my accountant is actually a man. And
I'm
my
allergic to numbers.
God, yeah.
I'm allergic.
I just like the ones with the dollar signs in front of them. That's what I like. Just tell me how they work. I know how they work. They're the good ones. The rest is not. It's just different.
Yeah.
So I think the whole argument about stuff is it should be quite redundant in the business. I don't look for a gender in my business for a role. I look for the person.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that's super important. Where if you're looking for tasks to be done or this, that, the other. It's not a gender discussion. It's a task, it's a value, it's a skill set. If you're bringing gender into it, you're really limiting yourself quite dramatically.
The only thing I would say is when you're trying to attract talent and write advertisements is understanding what your talent pool and most likely comes from. So there is some roles that are more, you have more in the pool from a certain gender. So
administration,
administration or customer service sometimes, then you might know that the talent pool is greater in the female side of things. And you might know that return to work mums are often in that area. So you might write your ad that, because you need to get in the psyche of your avatar most likely to apply, and go, if you've got a flexible work situation or something that is more family orientated or allows things. So I've used to write ads like, we offer a flexible work environment. So if you need to take little Johnny to soccer in the afternoon, that's going to be okay with us. Because that says to the mum, oh, you don't just say, we're family. You actually tell me a situation.
What I can do within exactly.
But that's also going to apply to a dad that takes the main parenting role as well, because they go, I can take little Johnny to soccer. But you just want to think about, and sometimes you'll dual ad. So you'll have one that speaks to, because you could go, okay, there's two different types of people that could do this job, and the pools are 60-40. I might advertise both ways. So I'm speaking to that avatar.
A split testing on Facebook. You know what I mean? You know, if you're gonna have a new product for a car product, let's say, you would have a feminine because they buy cars. The men not necessarily do them themselves, but they have partners that could do it. You know, like so. I think a lot of people are
it's about that split test. And the key, I'm just going to anchor on one thing on that, is people put together job ads as if they're just descriptions, and they forget that the word was ad. It's an advertisement.
That's right.
Think of the avatar and sell to the fucking avatar. Don't just write a list of demands about what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
No one good's applying.
Yeah.
You might think you're amazing, but you forgot to tell them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also the why doesn't need to be this big either.
No.
No one cares that much that quickly about your why, right?
No.
And then, by the way, we're looking for amazing stuff.
And guess what? It's not your why. It's their why. So when I write an ad, the why is why, the what's in it for them. Why should they join? It will be tied to our why because we want people who are attached to our why. But what's in it for them? Why should they join you? Not all about you, ego head. No.
Yeah. That's everyone's favorite topic, right? Themselves.
Yeah.
Awesome. Final piece of advice for I didn't want to go down that. Females in business, female operators. Final piece of advice for them. Things that you're the award-winning.
Yeah, I think it is. Shake off the bullshit rules of society and the feminine title. Embrace your femininity.
Yeah.
And stay in that power, because don't do what I did, which I kind of really put it aside for a while and embraced too much of the masculine.
Yeah.
Stay in your power, embrace it, understand when you need to flip and how to do that graciously, but don't let anyone put you inside a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will find a way. Like there is so many females out there that have it all. Like you can name so many females that have had the family, that have created the business, that balance everything. If you want it, you will find the way.
Yeah.
Don't use an excuse if someone put a ceiling over your head. That's a fucking excuse.
Yeah. You put that there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's that perfect example. And this is for males and females, you know, going through business, because we have our own issues in our own head, and then people think, oh, it's different from our. We have some fucked up shit in our head too. Don't think that you guys are the only ones that think it's stupid. Like, we think dumb too, right? And sometimes the pressure of being a male, you got to have all your shit together, is actually sometimes worse than any other way. So
please go and listen to the recording from yesterday's LinkedIn chat with Gus Wallen, because he really covers the stress and pressure on men exactly about that issue. Like, I can't show weakness. I can't show my emotion. I have to have my shit together. And the pressure of that, and never actually speaking to someone else and feeling the feelings, is so detrimental and has a ripple effect across businesses, but families, relationships as well. So we both have our own sets of problems. Everyone does. Yeah. And addressing that as well. So Gus's talk on that was really good.
Overarching everything, we need to have an appreciation for each other's mindset, differences, characteristics, attributes. Like, if there's an appreciation, like everyone, what I find in relationships, and again, this is not where the conversation was meant to be going, in relationships, in shit relationships, each partner is trying to get power. That is how you end up with a shit relationship.
Yep.
A great relationship is the equality, but the other person is actually put on top. That's how you have a great relationship. It's not me having control over you, Jade, or you trying to have the control back over me. That is not going to be a long-term. You'll be in a relationship and you might be in charge of that relationship, but the other person's, from a male's point of view, you're going to emasculate the man. From the female's point of view, they're going to feel disempowered, less feminine, less sexy. Like, that is not how you get the best out of each other. So
again, that comes back to the geniuses as well in the relationship, recognizing each other's genius zones, and you don't need to be all things to all people. So in the relationship, like you said, the male might be the more nurturing, like, and so maybe they step up and do more of the parenting, or vice versa. Like in my marriage previously, my ex was a way better cook than me, so he took the cooking and I did the cleaning because he just didn't like burnt food. And and I like the mirror cleaned a certain way.
But that to me is like a healthy relationship, the outcome of whatever that is. But those simple tasks within, and that's where people go wrong, those simple tasks, communicate that thing. Don't expect the other person to do more just because that's what they do. Like, be appreciative of what they do. Like, I would really appreciate my wife cleaning the house, but then you're right, I do most of the cooking. I'm a qualified chef for one, but I find that quite easy. She finds it easier than cooking. It's not a gender-based task. Who cares? Like, she takes the rubbish for the bin. Like, she takes the rubbish out. Like, it's not a gender-based thing. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't do that. I don't like touching bins.
Yeah, she does it. She literally does it before I.
That's not a gender thing. That's a germ thing.
Yeah. Well, I think.
But I will wash the cars.
Yeah. There you go. See, there you go. So, in saying the cleaning, I pay for a cleaner. That's my cleaning role.
Yeah, okay? that was my opt out too, pretty much.
So, and then if
I'm just going to get a cleaner.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're better at it than me, and they're quicker too. And my time's worth more. Yeah.
Correct. Price per hour, it's cheaper for me to get a cleaner.
Yeah, much better.
So,
and happier for everyone.
Exactly. If I can be happy, and if I'm happier, then everyone's happier.
That's right. I think ripple effect.
I agree. So let's wrap it up now. I think it's been absolutely amazing. I know there's heaps and heaps of stuff in there, from the energies at the start to recruitment in the middle to relationships at the end, the trifecta of business, you know, especially when it comes to, I literally got you on today because the recruitment aspect, the coaching, the mindset, the energy and the relationships were just a bonus either side to sandwich that stuff up. But thank you so much for your time. I know you're super busy. When's your next trip? When are you going overseas next?
I'm actually in Australia for the longest I have been in, like, 2 years. So I'm here.
2 weeks.
I'm in Australia for, no, 2 months, 2 whole months at this stage. Unless, although if iLab actually gets too many more participants in their next intake, which is in 2 weeks, I might have to go to Bali for 2 weeks. So
it's a tough life.
I might. But otherwise I'm there January, February. Someone's got to do it. Yeah, exactly. I was supposed to be in New Zealand next week, but I have too much going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, absolutely amazing. Just trying to get someone that's, flying internationally everywhere. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been amazing. It's been very energizing. Thank you for the conversation.
Not a problem at all. So if you want to get in touch with her, I will put the links down there. Jade Green, she's all over everywhere, doing everything. So if you really can't miss her, if you do miss her, open your eyes. It's really not that hard to find her. So thank you so much for your time. I know you guys got a heap out of it, and I will see you guys soon.